right, so S&P 2538 is going to take you back to, it's not quite as bad as that Christmas of 2018 where we bottomed out right around 2,400. How do you characterize this week's sell-off? Are we in an orderly fashion resetting what we think revenue rates might be?
I mean, there are obviously we're in a dark tunnel here. I think there's light at the end of that tunnel. I think fear is obviously dominating. Fear is a very psychological response that builds on itself. I think we should listen to what Jim Cramer says. I think we need bold measures. Maybe a 3-month tax holiday, not just payroll taxes, but tax holiday, $2,000 tax credit for individuals, a fund that would ensure the credit lines so that no financial institution feels, oh my God, they're all drawing on my lines. Do I have that credit? That the Federal Reserve can say, we'll be able to supply that credit. I think some big move by the government would be most welcome. It is dispiriting to see partisan wrangling on this issue. I think that's factor number one. Factor number two, going to the disease itself. We have experts like Fauci say that it's 1% or less. That's 10 times more than the seasonal flu, but far less than the pandemics that have scared so many of us when we look at the past.
Sure.
And I think that this is important. And again, China. If you want the light at the end of the tunnel,
yes.
I mean, it is. We look at China, where now they're in single digits in terms of looking there, and that's where it all started and where it blew up at the beginning.
A lot of the macro desks are trying to do apples to apples. We don't run an aggressive police state like they do, but your points are well made. On the Cramer suggestion that you touched on, that Treasury backstop, do you believe that should we get it, if we were to get it, it would in fact take funding concerns mostly off the table and you could focus on public health measures then?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't, again, the idea is we're assuring the financial health to keep businesses going. Now, how many of these would, if we have 60 days, 90 days, 120 days of cessation, how many businesses, would need to go on the line of credit? If that is assured, they will survive when confidence gets back and the economy gets back. I think that is really important. And I think it's really important that once you take those fears off the table, that we will make sure that American business still is going to be viable when we get this under control. Then we can all concentrate on the health measures that we all need to engage in now. And I think that 1-2 isn't so important.
Without obviously being able to handicap when any of those things or whether they might come about, the market fills that vacuum in the form of lower prices and tries to essentially rush to a point where it discounts a pretty dire scenario. We were also starting from a relatively elevated valuation level and perhaps pretty optimistic sentiment. So where would you guess we are in that process of kind of over-discounting the most probable outcome here?
Well, what are we down now? 25%?
Yeah, just about. A little more.
Could we go down 40%? My feeling is it's still nowhere near as bad as the financial crisis where, basically our institutions of lending were all threatened. The viability. People worried about their bank accounts. Money. Remember, they had to come in to insure money market mutual funds, which is $5 trillion, because everyone was going to run on those. Thank God we are not there yet. We also had tremendous overbuilding in the real estate, so we had overhang of capital. We're not there yet. All those features, and that was a 50% decline. That was the worst since the Great Depression. We're not at that. at that level. So realistically, we should be able to bounce back faster from this. Will be a recession and a sharp one. But theoretically, because the financial institutions are intact and functioning, because we don't have the overhang of, bad capital investments, overbuilding that, made the housing starts went down 90%. I mean, we're not facing anything like that. That should assure us that this decline that we're seeing now is going to be relieved in the future.